we're going to give everyone a few more minutes to show up. It's another nice hot day here in Dallas. It's been averaging about 109, 110 for the last 3 or 4 days. But I think next week's going to be a little cool down. I think it's going to be in the low 90s. Winter's coming. Ooh. We'll go ahead and kind of softly get into this. I'm sure most of you guys know me. But those that are new or folks I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Hank Coates, the President and CEO of the Commemorative Air Force, and I want to welcome you to our member call. For those of you that are new to the organization, we have over 140,000 members, donors, and supporters. We directly reach over 620,000 people via internet, web presence, social media, and we have millions of fans. That's us. We have over 170 warbirds, mostly from World War II. We have numerous Jeeps, tracked equipment, tracked vehicles, howitzers, tanks. We have over 80 units in the United States and Europe, and a unit that's kind of quasi-unit that still exists in New Zealand. Our focus is to educate, inspire, and honor. And excuse me just a second. Our focus is to educate, inspire, and honor, and we use the airplanes and the equipment and an incredible team of volunteers to weave an exciting and educational story for millions of fans worldwide, to do that educating, to do that inspiring, to do that honoring. And the way that I tell people when I meet them is that we use these airplanes and these volunteers as kind of a golden thread to weave a story between honoring the veterans in the past and educating and inspiring the young people of the future. And by doing that, we create a special purpose for ourselves, a mission. It's one thing just to go fly the airplane and have fun, or go ride the tank and have fun. That's all great. I don't knock it. But one of the things that I can't get past into flying, and it's just a personal thing, is in the military, I always had a mission. Whether it was training somebody or whether it was doing something else over the horizon, I had a mission. And people will go beyond and above and beyond for a mission. It gives you a goal. And so it's more than just keep them flying. Keep them flying. Flying is critical. We have to keep them flying so that we can educate, inspire, and honor. And now we have a more defined mission. A lot of units already felt that education was a big part of their mission, but now it's a little bit more defined. You know, the challenges of COVID have impacted us all. We've been working hard to develop webinars and other means of communication, email blasts, and things like that, including these member and unit staff calls to help with that communication and some of the gaps that we've experienced, not just because of COVID, but in the past as well. You know, normally I'd be seeing many of you at units, events, and shows. Unfortunately, you know, things have changed. And for now, these calls will have to suffice. And so today I just wanted to give you an update on the status of the CAF, let you know how things are going, talk about some events that are coming up, and hopefully paint a brighter picture for the future. So how are we doing? I get that question a lot. And overall, we're doing okay. I mean, we're not knocking it out of the park, but we're doing okay. Not bad, not good, doing okay. 2020 is going to be a challenge at every level of the organization. We're all going to have to be creative. We've done a lot of cost cutting over here, been very creative and doing a lot of things to help the units. And we're going to have to all work hard to keep ourselves and the units on track. Just psychologically, some people have had to work from home for quite a while. Here at headquarters, we had to work from home, and that's such a new way of doing things. We had to create new methods of communication, not only amongst ourselves, but to the units that needed help and advice. You know, organizationally, we're going to do fine for 2020. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to, as a group, as an organization, we're going to be good. 2021 is a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge, but we're all very, very hopeful that the air shows come back online, some of the other ride venues, tours come back online, and we see a better 2021, which will help us get through 2021. So if it doesn't, then we're going to have to be even more creative next year. But we at headquarters have done some things with the blessing of the general staff. We've had some specialized loans, several different programs of that. We've relaxed the 30, 60, 90 rules and regulations. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But we've done what we can to help the units get past the trouble of 2020. And we're going to continue to do those things. When I say okay financially, what does that mean? It means that 65% of our units are doing well, a green light, if you will. I mean, if you had a red light, yellow light, green light, 65 of our units are a green light. Financially and operationally, some of them are breaking new ground and coming up with innovative ways of making money and have events. They're doing a lot of things via virtual efforts like this, YouTube calls, Zoom calls, member meetings remotely. They're trying to keep their members dialed in and aware of what's going on, reaching out to those members that may not have internet and that kind of capability with phone calls, maybe even a letter. So if you've got a friend that can't listen to this, shoot them an email, shoot them a letter or something. Hey, I listened to Hank on this member webinar, and this is what he told me about, and get that information out there. One of the things that I think that headquarters had lost sight of over the last 5 or 7 years is that we've become overly dependent upon electronic means of communication. Everybody doesn't have an email. Everybody doesn't have webinar capability, things like that, or Facebook. So we, meaning us at headquarters or national, the unit leaders, staff members at the units, and the members themselves, we need to do a better job, all of us communicating and relaying things that the team at the unit level, at the regional level, and at the national level are doing. And when we communicate, I think it will help everybody understand. So those units are, like I said, having a green light. Innovative ways to make money, careful plans in place while they pursue more traditional fundraising strategies, going out on tour, providing rides. I was talking to a unit yesterday that was doing a lot of rides and just local rides with their local unit on weekends, doing quite well. But they're going out of their way and working hard to achieve that. A lot of them have put away money for rainy days. A lot of them have some pretty good spare change in the bank, and that's good. That's what we want. And they're able to use those funds, and we work with them to smartly use those funds to take care of any gaps in revenue that they might have. So they're, like I said, 65% or so are doing really well. They're doing fine. About 25% are what I would call in a yellow zone. Many of these units are in areas that are particularly hard hit. They may have stringent health guidelines. They may have members that are very concerned, and very rightfully so. When this whole thing started, I reached out to most of the units, either directly or indirectly, and I said, listen, let me know your plans, because I will support you. If you've got a good reason for what you're doing, then we want you to achieve your goals on either limited operations or no operations or full operations, because every unit is different. And I'm not going to critique your leadership capability or the unit's management or leadership if what they're doing is smart, it's within the codes for health for the city and the state and the region that they're in. And I've been very, very, very pleased at the unit leadership and the staff. I think there were a lot. There was every answer in the book, from going out on tour, which we have one unit doing right now, doing a pretty good job of it, to units that are going, our membership is in the danger zone. We live in an area where there's a lot of issues. The state's got a lot of regulations. We think we're just going to keep our powder dry until the springtime. I support that too. And I think we've had a lot of very, very good decisions made at the unit level. A lot of those units don't have a lot of costs, but they don't have a lot of money in the bank. So they're in the yellow zone. We're going to have to help them through. And we've done a lot of that until 2021 when things kind of open back up again. We're hoping, very strongly hoping, for more opportunities at revenue shows and fundraising events. 12 Planes of Christmas is going to be an opportunity for you this year. I highly encourage you to jump on that. Man, let's tell a story. There is a smaller group that are having some real challenges. A lot of them were having challenges before COVID. COVID just kind of exacerbated that. And we're working with those too. The bottom line is that to some degree or other, the COVID issue has impacted all of us. Some of us a lot more than others. We all remain hopeful that 2021 is going to be a more traditional year of air shows, conventions, tours, and similar activities. So let's talk about what we are doing. Let's talk about what's going on right now. Operationally, we have about 173 aircraft, about 73% of which are in flying status. That's pretty standard. Our flight hours for the year were quite low, as everyone would probably expect. Jim Lashley and I and David fought tooth and nail with the insurance company to get us some reductions, and it just wasn't coming. We even got to the point where we're like, we're going to ground the entire fleet because we don't have a choice. Nothing. So we went to the options of individual units putting their aircraft in a non-flying status. One of the strengths of having 173 aircraft and 80-something units is that we can leverage insurance. Our ability and our insurance is probably 30 to 60% less than a similar airplane not owned by the CAF. We do have a lot of leverage and a lot of support. You guys have had a good year the last 2 years. And because of that, we do garner some respect from the insurance companies. But there was not a lot of negotiation. And then this year about just giving us a big discount. I anticipate, just so you know, I anticipate increases in insurance over the next 2 years. Probably not as much over the last 2 years. That's not us. It's not a reflection on what we've done. It's a reflection on the entire warbird community and what's going on there, the challenges there. And most mainly, is a lack of competition among the insured. They've reduced numbers of companies capable of insuring warbirds or wanting to. And so without competition, you get rising prices. So if any of you want to start an insurance company, be my guest. Because of the pandemic, we all know that most of the shows were canceled or postponed. There's a big one here in Dallas. I'm not going to say the name. They're going to do a drive-in air show. I wish them all the luck in the world. And I'd like to see how it's going to happen, but I ain't going over there. To me, maybe it will work and maybe I can be proven wrong. And if any of you go see that drive-in air show and it was a big success, let me know. I've got other plans for that weekend. Many of our units have laid low, or many of our groups and people have laid low and hibernated until things return to normal. Many of our competitors have hibernated and just kind of laid low until things return to normal. But we at the CAF, outside of some specific units, like I said, for good reason, we've decided to pivot and figure a way to deliver on our mission effectively and differently. And so we've gone to the airwaves, we've gone to the Ethernet, so to speak. We've chosen to become much more active than we ever have been on Facebook, YouTube, and doing those things. We had tons of absolutely superb webinars conducted by the education department and Nancy, and some of them have just had incredible attendance, and the reviews have been nothing short of rave. Really, really awesome webinars. Some of them poked fun at me. I'm glad you did that. It was good. I was joking. I've got a thick skin. So, but we've really pivoted and focused on education and the awareness, in the virtual realm. And we've worked with some units that have worked in the local realm, and that's great. we focus on what can be done in and around the hangar while we're following state and local rules related to the pandemic. And we've given some advice to other units that have done the same. A lot of units have taken this time to focus on major maintenance efforts and deep restoration projects, but a lot of great work going on. There's several aircraft that were not flyable that are now ready to return to the skies, or nearly so. We're mission ready, and we're looking to get back out there. We're going to have to be careful when we do. I know some units have been doing a pretty good job staying current, staying proficient in the airplane, but some units may not have been. So as spring comes around, we're going to have to focus on that. You'll hear us talking more about that. Proficiency is one of my biggest concerns, and something that I think is something we have to really, really consciously focus on. A lot of units have participated in some awesome events. We had the cross country for VE Day. We had the Memorial Day flights, flyovers, 4th of July and VJ Day. We've got our Hellcat out in Hawaii right now, flying over the Hawaiian Islands, participating in the VJ Day ceremonies. It's awesome. And we're going to have, I think it's 15 of our airplanes heading towards Washington, D.C. later this month for Arsenal Democracy. We had a contingent of aircraft in Los Angeles, followed by the Inland Empire Wing, or led by the Inland Empire Wing. They flew over the USS Iowa, our B-17, and they're getting ready to do that again as I speak. The B-17 Texas Raiders, Fifi and Sentimental Journey are all out there on the road, getting ready to go on the road if they're not out there right now. I think Fifi's flying this weekend at an event and working really hard to get ready for Arsenal Democracy. The Capitol Wing in Virginia has been very, very active, and they're preparing for what I call this year's biggest event. It could be the biggest event in the last 10 years, the Arsenal Democracy. On September the 12th, we have the oldest World War II veteran. He's turning 111 in New Orleans, and the Big Easy Wing is going to be participating in that event, doing some flyovers with some other airplanes. It's going to be a lot of fun, So the Arsenal Democracy is going to take place on Friday, September the 25th in Washington, with over 70 aircraft participating. 15 or so of those aircraft will be ours. Many other aircraft are going to be privately owned by CAF members. They'll be flown by CAF members and crews. So we encourage everyone to watch and be really proud of this event. It's to celebrate the end of the anniversary of World War II. And so what a lot of people don't know is the backstory. I get a lot of questions on this. Well, we should have pushed it to next year and all this, and very legitimate concerns. But I want everybody to understand we had two choices. Choice one was to push it to next year. Choice two was to push it to September the 25th, which 4 months ago was scheduled to be Gold Star Mother's Day. And we were working with the NFL and the World War II Memorial downtown in D.C. on the mall to put together a great event. And it was to celebrate the end of the war, but also all the Gold Star mothers. And we were going to be able to have airplanes flying over all the NFL games across the United States. I mean, it really, really made a lot of sense early on. As time progressed, it made less sense. The other thing that was a driving factor was money. We had money promised by the Pentagon, which any of you that is familiar with military funding knows that money can't be spent typically across fiscal years. And so we were locked into a scenario where we might not have a lot of the money in 2021. We were going to have this great event, Gold Star Mother's Day with AOD. It made total sense, but we were overcome by events. We did get some of the money, but the COVID thing shut a lot of the outside events down, like the gala and the events, many of the events on the mall. So that was the reason why that date was chosen. But it's going to be a great anniversary to World War II. We're going to have 4 or 5 World War II veterans there. They're going to be participating with us. Always great guys. So stay tuned for information on live streaming and other ways to watch that event. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you should be able to see it and feel like you're a part of it. Unfortunately, Wings over Dallas, we just couldn't make it work. the city of Dallas, they canceled the Texas State Fair a week or two before us. Everything's getting canceled left and right. And we would probably have ended up planning up until the last moment and then being canceled by the city, or just be so limited that we just couldn't have the event. And we wanted to get the information out there soon enough, so we got it out there about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. We have had meetings with the sponsors. They understand. They're good with that. They're fully on board with next year. And we anticipate a similar time frame for Wings Over Dallas next year. There's been some talk about an alternate date, but just too hard. The winter staff, our wing staff conference is probably going to be something different this year, just because of timing and COVID and everything. We're probably going to have more of a virtual presence. We want to keep some of that stuff going because last year's was so great. And one of the things that I heard from a lot of members that went last year was, well, I didn't know I could go. I thought this was only for muckety mucks and board members and stuff. I'm going, no, this is super critical that you come to this. I encourage every member to look seriously at coming into winter staff or wing staff, because I can tell you, and we're going to change the name too, I can tell you that at least half a dozen people came up to me after and went, I didn't know how that worked. I didn't know that's how that worked. I never attended a board meeting before. I never realized that there were that many people in the room, that many people voted for what we're going to do moving forward. Two people recently come up to me and go, wow, Aircraft Assignment Committee and the Aircraft Assignment Board I never realized that. I just thought you assigned an airplane where you wanted to go. I said, no. The packages go before the board. They're evaluated for the package and how it would help the CAF, how it would affect the unit. Could the unit afford it? Could the unit, they're weighed, and then the Aircraft Assignment Board votes. And that's where the aircraft are assigned to. So if you have an opportunity to come to a board meeting, come to the conference when it is available, I highly recommend it. Typically, we have a member meeting at the Wings Over Dallas event in late October. We're going to have an event in the hangar. We don't have all the details yet because we're trying to be kind of careful about what the requirements might be. So we are going to have an event, because that is historically when the general staff is voted for. So there will be some people available. There will be some ability to vote there. There'll probably be some food, some other things there. I don't know how many people are going to come. Probably we're going to be communicating a lot over the next few weeks to get that lined out. But what is the most important part is your voting. Your vote counts. Every vote counts. So when that letter or that message comes to you and says you need to request an absentee ballot, request it. Please request it. We want your vote. We want you to be heard. The same goes at the unit level. Participate in your unit voting. Participate in that process, the nominee process, and the votes. I've recently sent guidance to all the staff officers on voting and how important it is, not only in the general staff elections, but also at the unit level, and knowing some of the limitations on people being present. We gave a couple of scenarios on how to achieve what is required by the unit manual. Highly regard you read that part. It's very important that you understand what the requirements are and don't do the wrong thing for the right reasons. So as you can see, we are an amazing organization. We're large, we're complex. We do some amazing things, some crazy things, but we do it safely. You are a part of this. This is us. The CAF, while it's super important that you are dialed in and you're working hard as you can and your eyes are on the pavement in front of you for your unit, to forward your unit, raise money for your unit, keep your airplanes flying. It's also important to take your head up every now and again. Look at what I'm a part of. This is what I'm a part of. It's bigger. It's bolder. And, you know, the members focusing at the local level, it's a great thing. And it's what helped the CAF become the organization that it is. But I just want to reiterate that we are so much more. With incredible reach across the world, fantastic volunteers and members working to better our communities and our country, we have a message. And the American people are hungry for our message. And we need to be out there spreading it. Now, gone are the days where we can think locally. We need to broaden our outlook. I challenge you to stay connected. Watch your peers and their amazing efforts. Go online and watch Bill Prosser lead that merry band of crazy guys on the West Coast flying, doing their tours. Watch Air Base Arizona and revel in their successes. Same thing with Fifi. You know, that is such an incredible thing to get that airplane flying and do it safely and consistently. Look at Texas Raiders out on the road and all the units that are out there flying, getting the airplanes up. Not to bemoan the fact that you may not be able to, but champion and cheer them on, because it's really, really important. It is us, and we can all succeed in the success of some of us. You know, together we're an amazing, strong force to educate, inspire, honor, and we do it by keeping them flying, keeping them driving, and by keeping entertaining. So, membership. I'll touch on that just for a bit. All this is possible through our members. It's a great time to be a CAF member. It's a critical time in the warbird industry to support us, and you're doing so really is a big help simply by renewing your membership. We've had a little bit of an issue with some people not renewing, and we understand that's a challenging time. Renewal, it's not just about money. It's also about expanding our audience, showing others in the country how we feel, and we're passionate about saving our history. And so I would encourage you, if you are up for renewal or you haven't, please consider renewing. And you've got several options, and can give you options even further if you need. So feel free to contact Melanda or Roseland. Why risk running for office? You know, we talked a minute ago about voting. If you've been a CAF member for at least a year or 2 years for a unit officer position, and you'd like to be a unit officer, don't hesitate to raise your hand. There's some units that people just don't. Each unit has a nominating committee that's looking for strong candidates. Now, what is equally important is that your membership is current. If you let your membership lapse in that year prior to running, or 2 years prior to running for unit leader, and you've been not a member for 6 months or so, you are not eligible to run. So don't let your membership lapse. It's really, really important. If you're a unit leader or a staff officer and your membership has lapsed, that's not good. We sent out emails about a month ago telling you that we're going to have to do something about this, and you should have gotten another email yesterday, or we'll get it today, or mail, or a phone call, or all three, because you cannot be a unit member and not be a current, or you cannot be a unit officer and not be a current member. It's A, a violation of all the documents that we hold true, and B, it is a huge risk to you and the CAF from a liability standpoint. If you are acting in the capacity as an officer and you aren't a member, then you may not be covered by insurance. And that could really be a bad thing for both of us. You know, during these trying times, a lot of our members have opted to change to the $19 a month option. And this allows you the same voting rights as a full colonel after the first year. So keep that in mind when you're deciding your new membership. So it's a perfect time to encourage all of our members to engage around the hangar. If possible, make check-in calls with other unit members. Keep in touch with each other and make sure that we're taking care of that person. The person doesn't have any needs. And B, you're communicating everything that you know that's going on at the unit level and at the national level. Reach out to our veterans, especially World War II and Korean veterans. They're a whole lot less likely to be out and about right now. Several members have donated to help others in difficult financial situations and aren't able to renew our memberships. If you want to donate for another specific individual, or to the general fund to help others, please call the one. The Membership Ambassador Program was unveiled during Winter Staff Conference or Wing Staff Conference. Can be utilized even with the current situations. Reach out to LaWanda and Member Services if you need some more help if you want to help in this creative program. Please remember, you have to be a member of your local unit. You have to be a member of the CAF to be a member of your local unit. It gets back to what's the right thing to do, and also liability within our insurance. It's a very critical point. You can't be a supporting member and be a member of your local unit. You have to be a full colonel. I heard recently some people say, well, I was allowed in and was just a supporting member. No, you have to be a full colonel to be a member of a local unit. It's not how that works. It is simply the right thing to do. So we talked about communication and covering the gap. Administration-wise, the national organization requires various reports, unit rosters, donation information, and they have to be submitted regularly, or many of them just annually. These items are to ensure that we're able to communicate with our members. If we have an issue and we don't have a current staff roster, we don't know who to call. So that's really, really important that those documents are provided to us. So if you're acting in those roles, or you have a friend that's acting in those roles, please help them provide that documentation to the national staff, the national organization. If you need a reminder, some of these are requirements of a nonprofit organization, and to maintain our status, we have to have that. A lot of that goes into our annual audit, and gets reviewed and audited, and it's made available and has to be approved by the board and general staff. If you need a reminder on these required reports, see Unit Manual and Guide 2, Reports, Rosters, and Lists. Something that's really, really important on the 30, 60, 90 days, we kind of put that in abeyance for a short time while we started dealing with COVID. A lot of people have gotten behind. And so here's the deal. You're going to start getting a lot of pushback from our staff on getting these things current and up to date. If there's a financial issue, we can work with you, with Lance and myself, to help you get where you need to be, if at all possible. But the paperwork and the documentation has to be done. The replacement for, as an example, we kind of relaxed the requirements on the operations computer program, Fortress, because we had a new one in the making. A new one is pretty much done. It's in beta testing in a couple of units, and it's working really, really well. The training and that program should hit the streets very shortly. Please understand that we're going to be very, very tight in our adherence to keeping that thing current. If it's not current, then we're not going to be able to fly. I just want everybody to know it's going to be easy, but that's not an excuse. We have to do our paperwork. We have to do our documentation. Pilots have to be current. The airplane has to be ready to go. So that's an important thing that you're going to be seeing coming down the road. The education update, education team is super hard at work. They've created weekly webinar series. Many of you have seen those. It's free, by the way. If you haven't checked out some of them, you really should. They're all streamed to CAF's YouTube page. They have different topics from air shows, CAF history, conversations with veterans, educators, and I've been told by Nancy that some educators can actually get continuing education credits for watching them. So if you have a friend that's a teacher, let them know. You can visit our education website for information all about that. It's in our member website. Some of them are quite funny as well. The team's putting together online resources for teachers, as well as designing programs for volunteers from across the country and in our new Henry D. Tippie National Aviation Center. We call it NAAC for short. It is going up like gangbusters. Many of you have seen the pictures. I've been circulating them. They're on Facebook. They're on LinkedIn. They're all over the place. It's been framed up, and the cover is going on it now. It's going to be an amazing, amazing place here in Dallas. We're going to have a home for our nose art We're going to have some big classrooms, and there'll be a big hangar that some of our aircraft are going to be nestled in when they're not out on the road flying. You know, we'll continue to share updates and pictures on the weekly on-the-fly email and via other methods if you're interested. We're also going to be having tours available every Monday at 9 a.m. If you're coming from out of town, I might even be able to make an arrangement for you some other time too. Just give us a call, so we can manage the numbers and make sure somebody's available to give you that tour. It's a big construction site right now, but it's, like I said, it's all framed out, all the steel's up, and it is the biggest thing you'll see on the skyline in Southern Dallas. I can assure you that. Outside of a couple of mega churches. But on the highway to or from downtown Dallas, it will catch your eye here at the airport. So far, we've raised $10.1 million out of the $12.3 million budget, and that's due to the philanthropic efforts and development of Rosalind and her staff. We've had a generous donor recently make a $500,000 matching gift incentive. Every donation received and pledge made by December the 31st is eligible for matching funds. And that's really, really important because that's how we built this thing. That's how it was built. It's not, remember, I've had people ask me, well, my member fees are going to that. No, that's not the way it's working. This thing is being built by the hard work and efforts of the folks to get people that believe in the CAF and the CAF ideals and the CAF programs. That's who's building this thing. It's going to be ours, and it is ours, and it's going to be an amazing tool to not only support the local Southern Dallas area, but also the whole region, and be a hotbed of great activity, educational activity for the CAF nationally and internationally, but also to provide services to the units on education things. And we'll take things from the units and we'll package them so that they can go out. Some of the units that are doing some really, really good work, like Tex Hill Wing, where they're amazing cadet program. And we'll package how Tex Hill Wing does it into a generic thing and send it to you and say, here, maybe you would like to try this. Make it yours the way that you need to do it. So let me I'm looking at a few notes here. That all looks good. Talked about Fortress. So that is pretty much everything. What you're going to see from us over the next few weeks is a lot of efforts on communication to try to keep our member numbers up, to work to get people to renew, to make sure that the election cycles go well, and to further the efforts of the CAF and make sure that our members know what's going on. Because a lot of us, we're so focused on our day-to-day activities and getting that airplane up to speed and getting our membership taken care of. And that's critically important, that we want to make sure that we communicate to you and you communicate to us. A lot of members will tell you, man, you send me an email. If you send me a long email, I'm probably going to give you a long one back. But I'm available. Send me emails. Give me a call. Leah, do we have any questions?
We don't have any questions, but there are a lot of comments going back and forth about starting new units, and I have put those notes together in the chat section. So when you mention something, I put a link up there so that people can go to it and check it out. So we'll be watching the comments too after the live stream is ended and make sure that we answer any questions out there.
Yeah, before we go, let's talk about new units for a bit, because a part of the recruitment, really, all of our members know that. Most of the recruitment, active recruitment, occurs at the unit level. It's really important, and that's why I say, the youth is the program. The youth programs are the future of the CAF, because when you get the youth kids, they're probably going to be CAF if you treat them right, with dignity and respect, and give them opportunities to learn and contribute. They're probably going to be members for life, but you're probably also going to get their parents too, right? And maybe their significant other 20 years from now, 15 years from now. So the youth is really critically important. About 18 months ago, we embarked on a new way of doing units, which was we were going to look at geographical areas around the country and focus on areas and bringing in and start looking for people in those areas that might be good unit leaders and could create a unit somewhere where there never has been before, but maybe it has the right money and the groups of people that would be interested in participating. Maybe it's got a great airport that's very, very pro warbirds and general aviation, those kinds of things. And we started a couple of units up, and it went really, really well. But recently, somebody came to me and said, look, we have airplanes that are going out on tour, and they do really, really well in certain areas. And maybe that's a place we ought to start a unit. So what we've done is we've combined areas where some of the tour stops are doing really, really well, and where we don't have any units currently, and we're starting to try to focus on looking at those areas. So if you have an idea of an area where maybe your unit has either done tour stops or have relationships in, if you know a member in an area like that, let us know. Let's get Jim Lashy and he or her and myself and David on the phone, because creating new members is the way that we proliferate our organization. It's really important. So we're always looking for good opportunities to start new units, and we'd be interested in hearing from you. That's a good question or a good comment. Anything else, Leah?
Nope, that's it. I'm happy to say we've got people from SoCal to England who attended the call today. So that's a pretty cool, broad spectrum of an audience.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So I'm going to leave it here today. I really, really, really appreciate everyone taking their time to participate and listen. Please take the message back to your squadron mates, your unit mates, and talk about staying connected. If you have some ideas, some of the things, we're always thinking of ideas here and trying to come up with creative ways of doing things. One of the things that we thought we tried to do and are still trying to do is create a public affairs unit, which what they do is they attend air shows, they attend events, they film it, they create content. The content is fed through the education department onto live streaming. And so if there's an interest out there in participating in that, we're looking for an ability to do that. Because one of the things that we do is we've got to get past that wall of the news wall and get that communication going. So if you have a good idea, please let me know. And, we'll try that too. So like I said, I've talked to quite a few unit leaders over the last few months, mostly good. Most of our units and members are doing a good job, working hard, and I really appreciate that. So if you got a question or something you want to talk about, the staff's here. We're here. If you're not getting what you feel is the appropriate level of service, let me know, and I'll beat them up for you. No, not really. We've got a great staff here. They do an awesome job. Sometimes they're a little overworked, but please give us a shout and help me communicate with everybody. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Bye-bye.